So what does it take to put a giant shark in a tank, cover a human skull in diamonds, and become one of the wealthiest living artists on the entire planet? Today, we are diving into the art of shock and the man who pretty much wrote the playbook, Damien Hirst.
Damien Hirst himself once said, "I have always loved horror films. I like being frightened." And that right there, that's not just some throwaway line. It's basically the key to understanding his entire career. This is an artist who isn't just fascinated by death. He's fueled by the very feeling of fear itself.
And that's the real multi-million-dollar question, isn't it? How does a love for scary movies translate into an art empire that puts you in the same league as guys like Andy Warhol? Let's get into it.
Okay, so to really get a handle on those crazy price tags, we've got to go back, way back to the beginning, to a pretty morbid childhood in working-class England that would end up shaping everything that came next.
I mean, this wasn't just some passing phase. His own mother called him a morbid child. As a teenager, Hirst would spend hours just poring over these illustrated pathology books. You know, the ones with super graphic images of diseases and injuries. That early fascination, it planted the seed for his entire artistic life.
And yeah, that childhood interest, it hardened into his one single, ever-present theme: life, decay, fear, preservation. For Damien Hirst, it seems like every single artistic question he asks eventually leads right back to death.
So Hirst didn't just, quietly show up in the art world. Nope. He and a group of his friends basically kicked the door down. His rise was, it was meteoric. In 1988, while he was still a student, he curated this exhibition called Freeze that basically launched the entire young British artists movement. By the early 90s, the super influential collector Charles Saatchi was funding his most ambitious and most expensive projects. And then, in 1995, boom, he wins the Turner Prize, which is one of the biggest honors in the art world. In less than 10 years, the kid who loved to provoke had become the establishment.
All right, so he's got the backing, he's got the awards. Now Hirst starts creating the pieces that would make him a household name, and, of course, an absolute magnet for controversy.
And this is the piece that really lit the fuse. A 14-foot tiger shark, caught and just suspended in a tank of formaldehyde. It's so confrontational, so visceral, and it forces you, the viewer, to stare right into the jaws of a predator, frozen forever between life and death.
And naturally, this was the question on everybody's lips. Is a pickled shark really art? See, Hirst used these totally bizarre materials to explore really complex ideas. Fun fact, the original shark actually started to decay and had to be replaced, which just threw more fuel on the fire. If the original animal is gone, is it even the same work of art?
So, is it art? Well, the market answered with a resounding yes. The piece sold for a staggering $8 million. And that proved that a really shocking idea could be worth just as much as, say, a traditional masterpiece painting. Okay, so if the shark was all about the raw, primal fear of death, Hirst's next masterpiece explored its glamour? Yeah, he was about to create one of the most audacious and ridiculously expensive objects in modern art history.
The recipe for this thing was just as shocking as the final product. Hirst started with a platinum cast of a real 18th century human skull, keeping its original teeth. Yep, real human teeth. Then, he covered every single inch of it with over 8,600 flawless diamonds. It was the ultimate contradiction, a grim symbol of death transformed into the ultimate object of luxury.
The asking price? A cool £50 million. This one piece just perfectly captures the whole debate around Hirst. Was it a profound statement on mortality and wealth, like his fans said, or was it, as his critics argued, just a vulgar, headline-grabbing stunt?
And this really brings us to the core of the whole Hirst phenomenon. He isn't just an artist, he's a global brand operating right at that wild intersection of high art and high finance.
And the prices only got crazier. Lullaby Spring, which is basically a medicine cabinet filled with thousands of colorful pills, sold for $17 million. The Kingdom, another shark piece, went for over $15 million. At this level, these aren't just art sales anymore, they're major financial events.
So this is the debate that just continues to rage around him. On one side, his supporters see a visionary with this deep, profound imagination exploring humanity's biggest fears. On the other side, critics see a master marketer,
a savvy businessman whose work is designed more for headlines and sales than for actual artistic merit.
Okay, so after looking at the morbid childhood, the shocking art, and the absolutely massive price tags, what's the bottom line on Damien Hirst? What's the main takeaway here?
I think it all comes down to this. Hirst's true genius isn't just in the art, it's in the business of art. He took his personal obsession with death, turned it into the ultimate tool for provocation, and in doing so, he didn't just shock the art world, he completely and totally mastered it.
And in the end, he forces us to ask what art is even for. Is it supposed to be beautiful, to be profound, or is it to make us feel something, anything, even if that feeling is just shock? Genius, showman, or a little bit of both? The answer, just like his art, is anything but simple.